Today we start with
the Vice President, Kamala Harris.
So Kamala Harris was doing another one of these events where Democrats sit around and talk about how amazing it is to abort babies. This has to be one of the strangest propaganda entrances I've seen in politics. I'm just going to play the clip and let it speak for itself.
We are about to talk with one of the most capable, influential, bold, and fearless thinkers ever. This human right here isn't out to connect some of us. She is here to connect all of us. And this human being just happens to be a woman. Woo. Oh my goodness.
Just to reiterate what she said, this is what she's claiming about Kamala Harris.
One of the most capable, influential, bold, and fearless thinkers ever.
This is the type of stuff that turns people off of politics. You can't just go out there, be introduced like a normal person. Here's Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States. That's not enough. You have to get up there and say she is literally the greatest human being that ever walked the earth. But I do have to give her some credit. She got up there and she said it with a straight face when you know she knows she's lying. And if she doesn't know that she's lying, then she's dumber than Kamala Harris, which would make her the perfect person to introduce Harris. Now keep those words in mind as you watch Kamala Harris show off her intellectual capability.
But when you present the suggestion that anyone is saying that it is time for a new generation and they're running against the person who is president, and when presented as though it's an attack, I would like to let us all be clear that the attack is misplaced if the point of it is that we need leadership that is strong, because we have a strong leader in Joe Biden. Well, the press is here. I got some words. I got the vocabulary, and my pronunciation is perfect. I think it's always important to look around the room and then ask who's not in the room, and then figure out how to bring them in. And often, and all of the leaders here know, often is not just because you might leave the door open. That's not enough. You got to go out to where folks are, literally, where they are. I see him every day. A substantial amount of time we spend together is in the Oval Office, where I see how his ability to understand issues and weave through complex issues in a way that no one else can to make smart and important decisions on behalf of the American people have played out. And so I will say to you that I think the American people ultimately want to know that their president delivers and Joe Biden delivers. And we know every day we must be vigilant in protecting that which we have achieved and keeping our eyes on our vision, our collective vision, of how we continue to strengthen our nation.
There are reports that say that you have the lowest approval rating of any vice president. I'm curious how much of a role, if any, that you feel race and gender play in that.
Well, there are polls that also say I have great approval ratings. I think the point that has to be made is that there are attempts to create distractions away from the accomplishments of our administration.
Vice President Kamala Harris received the worst rating in the history of that NBC poll.
Here we have her explaining the complexities of time.
And talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs. And there is such great significance to the passage of time when we think about a day in the life of our children.
So I think it's very important, as you have heard from so many incredible leaders, for us at every moment in time, and certainly this one, to see the moment in time in which we exist and are present. and to be able to contextualize it, to understand where we exist in the history and in the moment as it relates not only to the past but the future.
Well, I think culture is a reflection of our moment and our time, right? And present culture is the way we express how we're feeling about the moment. And we should always find times to express how we feel about the moment that is a reflection of joy, because it comes in the morning. We have to find ways to also express the way we feel about the moment in terms of just having language and a connection to how people are experiencing life. And I think about it in that way too. I say many times, especially to young folks that I mentor, we can think of history as being a relay race. And of course there are then those who carried the baton before us, and then they passed the baton to us. And we who are in this room right now currently hold the baton. And I do believe that the ancestors, that the founders, and we are talking about the founding mothers and fathers of our country, by the way, I do believe that they didn't necessarily think that we would end the race, but charged us with a responsibility to do as much and as best as we could while we carry the baton for our part of the race. I think, of course, about the great Frederick Douglass and all that meant in terms of him having an extraordinary ability to articulate the truths. And often when one articulates the truth, one has to also point out the hypocrisies. With hopefully a way that is about motivating us to reconcile and do better.
When you're a role model, people watch what you do to see if it matches what you say.
I do believe in a very fundamental principle, and it transcends religions, but it is an age-old concept, and it is the concept of redemption, which is the notion and the understanding that all people will make a mistake.
Then we have her here explaining a story to the audience like they're a bunch of third graders. Which, to be fair, if you attend a Kamala Harris event unironically, then you may have the capacity of a third grader, intellectually speaking.
And I would also ask this of all the friends in the sisterhood here. You know that thing about the frogs in the pots?
Please, don't.
Okay, so here it goes. There's 2 pots of water, and there's 2 frogs. In one pot of water, you put the frog in and you slowly turn up the heat. And that frog's kind of like, oh, it's getting kind of warm in here. And then the heat keeps going up to boiling, and that frog perishes. In the other pot, you turn up the heat up on high, get that water boiling, you put the frog in it, he's going to jump out. Let's not be that first frog. Let's not be that first frog.
Lastly, I'm going to leave you with Kamala Harris's 2 favorite things, Venn diagrams, and her quote about being unburdened that she repeats nonstop.
So one of the things that you all have learned, and I just love, I'm going to just confess that I'm a geek on some things. I love Venn diagrams. I do.
It was real excited. They were like, same. Someone is drawing one right now.
Something I love, which is to always think about complex issues through the frame of a Venn diagram. I love Venn diagrams. I love Venn diagrams. I love Venn diagrams. So I just do. Whenever you're dealing with conflict, pull out a Venn diagram, right? And so, the 3 circles. I like to think about a lot of things in the context of a Venn diagram. I love Venn diagrams. Always ask, is there a Venn diagram for this? I'm telling you, it's fascinating when you do. Among the many things that I like, I love Venn diagrams. The 3 circles. I love Venn diagrams. I just throw it into a Venn diagram. I'll tell you everything you need to know about any issues. I love Venn diagrams. I really do. I love Venn diagrams. It's just something about those three circles. Let me just say, I love Venn diagrams. I really love Venn diagrams. You know, the circles, right? 3 usually. I asked my team to remember Venn diagrams, those 3 circles, right? And then let's just see where they overlap. I love Venn diagrams. I really do. The 3 circles, and then they overlap. One of the things I love is Venn diagrams. Any math teachers in the room? I love Venn diagrams. I've actually asked my team to do a Venn diagram. I love Venn diagrams. I just love Venn diagrams. The 3 circles, right? Sometimes there are more. I like Venn diagrams. Okay, so if you look, I do. See what can be unburdened by what has been. Always believe in what can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
That can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
Seeing what is possible unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. Where we can be unburdened by where we have been. What can be unburdened by what has been. Unburdened by what has been. What could be unburdened by what had been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What could be unburdened by what had been.
One of the most capable, influential, bold, and fearless thinkers ever.